Ever get that feeling, when you see a couple at a party or something and something's just off?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, they say all the right things, put on a good front,
Yeah,
but the vibe is just strained.
totally.
Now, imagine being in that situation, but with the added weight of, like, wondering what it's doing to your kids.
Oof, yeah. Heavy stuff.
That's the deep dive we're taking today. When staying together is tough, is it really the right move for the kids?
You've brought us a question that's so common, yet so loaded with nuance. And honestly, before we even unpack stay or go, we need to define what we even mean by an unfulfilling partnership.
Right, because it's not always obvious.
Exactly. It's not just about arguing every now and then. I mean, who doesn't argue sometimes?
All couples argue, it's normal.
Exactly. This is about something deeper, like a fundamental lack of connection.
Yeah, like you're missing that spark.
Yes. Lack of respect, shared goals. Feeling alone, even when you're physically together.
It's like that saying, being lonely in a crowded room, but make it your living room every day for years.
Exactly. And then layer on the financial realities. I mean, for many people, splitting up feels impossible.
Oh, for sure. 2 homes, childcare, maybe even legal battles. It's
Yeah.
daunting.
Absolutely. And then there's the whole dating again thing.
Which, honestly, we could do a whole other deep dive on that topic alone.
Sign me up. But seriously, those fears are so valid. But here's the catch, and this is where it gets really interesting research, is showing that children are incredibly attuned to their emotional environment.
They are like little emotional sponges, right?
Yeah.
Soaking it all up.
More like emotional secondhand smoke. Because even if parents aren't fighting openly, kids pick up on that tension. They feel it.
So even if a child is too young to understand the words, they still feel the tension.
Exactly. Studies have shown that kids in high-conflict homes, even without yelling or, big blowouts, have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. And over time, that chronic stress, it can manifest in so many ways. Sleeplessness, difficulty concentrating in school. It can even increase the risk of anxiety and depression later in life.
Wow. So this whole keep it together for the kids approach, it might actually be backfiring.
In some cases, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's the modeling aspect. See, children learn about love, about relationships, from what they see at home.
Makes sense, yeah.
So if their primary example is a relationship that's strained, unhappy, maybe even silently resentful.
Right, like just going through the motion.
Exactly. They internalize that.
Yeah.
And it can shape their expectations for their own future relationships.
It's like we're unintentionally handing them a blueprint for unhealthy relationships.
Yeah.
Just by trying to keep the family structure intact.
It's a real concern. And this is where that whole debate of stability versus a healthy environment gets really interesting. Because stability is great, don't get me wrong,
Of course, yeah.
but only if it's emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a less predictable situation after a split, maybe even a little messy.
Sure, with new routines and all that.
Exactly. But with happier individuals, can actually be better for the kids in the long run.
So we've talked about some of the downsides of staying together, but let's be real. There are arguments for it too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, kids thrive on routine, consistency. And even if mom and dad aren't, acting like lovebirds, just having them both there provides a sense of stability, security.
Huge point. And divorce, for kids, it can feel like a mini earthquake in their lives.
For sure, their whole world is shifting.
Exactly. And even if parents explain it well, that feeling of the family unit breaking apart,
Yeah.
it's real. Plus, let's not forget the logistics. Shared finances are a big one. Easier school runs, built-in babysitters. Those are real, tangible benefits.
Absolutely. And navigating single parenthood on top of heartbreak, that's a whole other level of hard.
For sure. But here's the caveat, and it's a big one. Those benefits, they only go so far if the underlying unhappiness is glaringly obvious to the kids.
They can sense it, like we were saying earlier.
Exactly. And that's when staying together can actually backfire. Because instead of modeling a healthy partnership, even with a few bumps in the road, you're unintentionally teaching them that
The quiet unhappiness, the resentment.
yes, the lack of affection,
Yeah.
that this is what love looks like.
It's like saying, eat your vegetables, they're good for you, but serving up a plate of, like, soggy, flavorless greens.
Yes. The message doesn't match the experience.
Exactly. Okay, so all that said, this decision, it's not just about the kids either, right?
Absolutely not.
Adults in unfulfilling relationships, they can stagnate too. It impacts their parenting, careers, their own sense of self.
100%. And here's something important to remember. Staying together doesn't automatically equal disaster. And splitting up doesn't magically guarantee everyone will be happy. There are countless examples of successful co-parenting.
Where the kids see their parents happy, but independently.
Yes. And they still feel loved, supported, and secure. It's about how everyone adapts and moves forward.
So much of this depends on the individuals involved, right? Like there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about honest self-assessment, not judgment.
So how do we even begin to unpack this? Where do we start?
I think it starts with asking yourself some tough questions. How deep is the unhappiness? Is it something fixable? Or are we talking about fundamental differences that are unlikely to change?
And also, how are the children truly doing? Not just how we perceive them to be.
Crucial distinction. And that's where therapy can be so helpful.
Either individually or as a couple, right?
Absolutely. And it's not about admitting failure. It's about seeking guidance, getting tools to help you make the best choices for everyone involved. And, we talk a lot about the kids, but honestly, sometimes the most loving act we can give them is showing them what it means to prioritize our own well-being.
Because how can we teach them to have healthy relationships if we're not in one ourselves?
Precisely. It's not selfish. It's setting a powerful example of self-respect and seeking fulfillment.
And ultimately, happy individuals are more likely to create a happy, healthy environment, whether it's together or apart.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This deep dive, wow, so many things to think about. For anyone listening who's wrestling with this, you are not alone. There are resources out there, people who can help you navigate this. And remember, it's not about choosing you over your kids.
It's about recognizing that everyone, yourself included, deserves a chance at a fulfilling life.
And sometimes making the hard choices is the best way to get everyone